situation in the world right now, you might have noticed that webcams are either really hard to buy because they're out of stock or they've gotten a little bit more expensive. When I started streaming early this year, kind of before everything went wild, I just went with the mindset that I would just go with whatever cheap equipment I could start with, and then if this turned into something good, I could buy better equipment later. So I bought a really cheap $20 webcam from a company called TedGym. I've never heard of TedGym. I don't even know what else they make. Anyway, it's not a very good camera. I wouldn't recommend buying one, but since we're in the situation we are today, I can't really afford to upgrade it. So what I wanted to do is, how much goodness could I squeeze actually out of it? So I'm going to show you how I took an image that looked like this to looking like this. First, you should check me out at twitch.tv/number1god. I do art and games and it's all kinds of stuff. We're going to call in Sputnik. I like it. The first question I had with having a webcam like this is, how can we actually create a nice depth of field, like a nice blurry background? Well, you can't do it with this webcam. It barely can keep focus on the thing that's in front of you. So I was watching all these streamers and they all had this really nice bokeh in the background, and I wanted that. But without a DSLR camera, it's just not really gonna happen. There are a few options you have though. Harris Heller has a really cool video on how to fake it if you have a green screen setup. I'll link that video in the description. I highly recommend you checking out if that's your setup. If you don't have that setup, you have a couple other options still. There's software called VCam from XSplit. It's freemium software. It will cost you a bit to get the unwatermarked version. However, it's pretty good. I have been really impressed with the amount of quality it's able to pump out. If you download this program and add it as a source inside of Slobs or OBS, you can see the effect. Only kind of pointer I give you is to keep the blur around 11 or 12. Overdoing it kind of reduces the effectiveness of it. It also looks a little bit tacky. Okay, so we have our blurry background, but what about color? There are two steps that are important. Gaming Careers has a really cool video where he talks about how to squeeze a little bit more out of the Logitech C920. If you have that camera, I highly recommend you look at that video. It's linked in the description as well. If you don't have that camera, it's still a really good video because he talks about all kinds of ways you can tweak your video and also add color grading. And that's a second really important step. He has resources on his page for different kinds of color grading that you can add. So go into your video source inside of Slobs or OBS and add a filter for Apply LUT. And if you take these resources, you can play with all of them to find one that suits you. The last step, and really the most difficult one because it's so fiddly, is playing with the camera settings. You can get here by right-clicking your camera and going to Properties. It's tricky to talk about because I can't give you bulletproof settings that will look good no matter what. It really depends on the LUT selected, your lighting situation, the camera that you have. There's so many factors that change it up. Really, you have to go through each of these individual sliders and just fiddle with them until you have a setting that's good. I can show you mine, what I have, but I have a different setup than you, so it's probably not going to look very good if you just put these directly in. What I can say though is once you find settings that make sense, screenshot them and save that, because once you restart your computer, these are gone. If you know of a way to save these, please tell me in the comments because I haven't been able to figure it out. I know it seems ridiculous, but it's really just those three things, like adding a little bit of software blur, adding some color grading, and then just tweaking the settings so that the hue and saturation is not completely insane. Your white balance is always going to be something that's going to be fiddly depending on your lighting situation. But once you find one that works for you and you can control that lighting, just keep it. Overall, I can't say I recommend this camera, but I can recommend this setup if you have a cheap webcam and want to make it look a little bit nicer. I hope this has been helpful. Check me out at twitch.tv/number1god. We're streaming art, streaming games. We're always having a good time. Till next time, peace.